watch my show. I appreciate you very much. Go ahead, hit that like button real quick. Subscribe if you haven't. Let's see. So today on the topic of discussion, we have the Rust case with Hannah Gutierrez Reed. She's the armorer that being charged for manslaughter with the Alec Baldwin shooting. While they were filming the movie Rust back in October of 2021. The court case has had some very, very interesting testimony, cross examination, a lot of info I didn't know about beforehand, and definitely kind of shapes my point of view on a lot of things. I mean, for starters, let's get into it. So, um, one of the main interesting things about this manslaughter case to me is that, she's being tried for manslaughter. Alec Baldwin was the individual holding the firearm that had gone off, negligent discharge, um, that had killed the cinematographer and also shot the director of the film. Now, that being said, regardless if he's innocent or not, they left him off the witness list for testimony for this case for Hannah Gutierrez Reed. Now, I find that very, very incredibly odd and off. The fact is he's odd that Alec Baldwin, the person who was holding the gun that went off and killed somebody and hurt another person, is not a witness in this trial. You tell me. I mean, how you're being accused of manslaughter. The person that pulled the trigger that's blaming you, even though they were holding the gun. Huh. So anyways, for starting testimony, you had your first assistant director, Mr. Allen. He flat out admits that he was negligent. He wasn't doing the checks correctly. He swears up and down that he checked that firearm and that the bullets in that were dummy rounds or they were blanks. Now, if for all y'all that aren't firearm savvy or you don't know the difference, a dummy round is going to be like a snap cap. It might look like a real bullet. It's really not. In this case, the reason that they use dummy rounds is if there's revolvers. When you're shooting a revolver, the cylinder is exposed and you can see each single chambered area of that cylinder when there's a bullet in there. So if somebody's holding one that's empty and firing for the movie, it doesn't look realistic because it's like they don't even have any bullets in the gun. So that's what a dummy round is, or a snap cap. Usually they rattle, or they have a spring on the inside, or something along to that effect. A blank firing round is going to look like a real round. It will have a maybe quarter of the power of an actual bullet, and usually there's just a paper wadding or wax wadding in the top of them. So we'll get into that going shortly here. But anyway, so first director, interesting enough, flat out admits that this is exactly as he said. Ms. Gutierrez Reed, he was very impressed with how well she knew firearms. He was impressed with how diligent she was as far as bringing the firearms over, doing a check, checking with him, and then handing him the gun, and then he hands it off to Alec Baldwin. So, at this point, after he had taken the gun from her, she had left the scene or the set, and it was due to COVID protocols or something along that line, because this was back in 2021, which is crazy to think that it takes 2 years for a manslaughter case to get lined up and take place. So you have that. More so interesting, and the person that I was most interested in watching, as far as cross-examination, was the prop master for Alec Baldwin, which was, let me pull my notes up here real quick, guys, thank you. Let's see, we had Dave Hall, Hannah Gutierrez, Dave Hall, where's that girl at? The prop master, who was actually Gutierrez's boss or supervisor for the prop company that they work for. First and foremost, apparently these two did not get along while they were working on set together. Gutierrez Reed was, even though she was the armorer for the show, and for all y'all's, I didn't even know about this stuff with Hollywood. Armorer is the person who manages all the firearms, ammunitions, everything to do with those. They're actually supposed to teach a firearm safety type little course class for all the actors and actresses that are handling the props or firearm props or firearms for the filming of these productions. And they check everything, make sure everything is safe, safety first, and that's really their position in the whole thing. They don't just hand people firearms, I guess, in Hollywood, which is great. They don't do that. Still, a little bit negligent in the matter of. But those two had argued because Ms. Gutierrez Reed is actually supposed to also, on top of that, be just working regular props when they're filming scenes that didn't require live firearms with either dummy bullets, dummy rounds, or blank rounds in them. I guess because Miss Gutierrez Reed wanted to focus more on, she liked doing the armory position more. That's kind of her specialty or whatnot. She was still doing the props on the side. The other, the prop master, which her name is, where we go here. Yeah, I just barely had I had all my notes pulled up here, guys. I apologize. Thanks for your patience on that. Where are we at here? There we go. So, they'd butt heads a couple times. There'd been some other instances of both not too thrilled about each other. Here we go. Here we are. All right. So Miss Sarah Zachary, she's the prop master. After the shooting, she had actually taken the firearms, dumped the ammunition, dummy rounds, blanks, or whatever, and thrown them in the garbage. So why would you be throwing those in the garbage right after there was a shooting incident where most likely the cops are going to be needing to take a look at all these types of things? She's on the phone with her boss the entire time afterwards, and over by the trash can, throwing away bullets. You tell me that's not sus. I don't know what is, man. I mean, that to me right there. She had exchanged text messages with other workers talking about how she wishes Miss Hannah Gutierrez Reed would get fired, and their dislike and all this stuff. They got in some sort of argument, and then here's the kicker. This prop master lady, she was handling the firearms when she shouldn't have been. And believe it or not, this is where total kicker for me that just puts a lot into perspective here. Ms. Sarah Zachary had a negligent discharge of one of the firearms that had blanks in it a few days prior. So Ms. Gutierrez Reed, of course, I'm sure there was some things said and corrections that we haven't heard all the information about yet. However, this lady's already doing dangerous things. It's not even her job, for starters. Number two, she's throwing away evidence, and she's on the phone with the boss. Number three, before all this chaos and crazy crap happened, she's talking about getting in a fight, how Ms. Gutierrez Reed called her the C word, and she's tossing away ammo, negligent discharges, all that stuff. That's freaking bizarre. That is some odd behavior. So, then the next kicker that happens, the corporal in charge of investigating in the case, she was called to the stand. She was asked, did you investigate, this information of her throwing away the bullets? No, because at the time time had gone by, and that we just had the statement about that. You're telling me that you don't find anything suspicious about somebody throwing bullet casings and blanks and dummy rounds away in the garbage right after a shooting incident? A lady that's not even supposed to be touching the ammunition or around that cart, but was. A lady who also had negligent discharges, but was. I mean, I'm going to tell you what, I have a lot of reasonable doubt in this case. At first, I thought, oh man, that armorer chick and Alec Baldwin are screwed. They're done. But the more I look at it and the more I think about it, the more messed up it is. However, this entire investigation and whatnot, the one person that seems to be cooperating and the rest of them aren't is Ms. Gutierrez Reed. I mean, it just blows my mind. Like all this stuff, it's a total circus. Alec Baldwin's the only person that's really given a lot of pushback as far as cooperation goes in this entire thing. He's not even going to be on trial for this one. So we'll see how that goes. And as far as I never pulled the trigger, I'd never point a gun at anybody or a loaded gun or anything like that. Well, guess what? He did that on multiple occasions. There was even a scene where he was pissed off and fired some rounds after they had already said cut. And he's cussing and whatnot. I actually have the footage of it. I'll put it up on my channel after this live's done. And I'll have more detailed, more segmented, more fact from the actual court transcripts, not just me telling you guys my opinions and basically the summary of what I observed while watching it. But it's just, boy, there's a lot of doubt now. I don't know how a bullet, checking the revolver, handing it off to the assistant director, then him handing it off to Alec Baldwin, and how all of a sudden that live round got in there. Sabrina. What I find very odd is that Alec Baldwin, though, is the only person that is acting. I mean, he's acting even more suspected of something, foul play wise or whatnot. So it's interesting to me. But he's also the one that's claimed he would most likely, I guess you could say, probably the one person that could say, hey, I didn't know or whatever. I didn't know there was a live round in there. Yet he also did take a safety class for the firearms. I didn't know about this, that they were required to do that, but they are. Ms. Gutierrez Reed was supposed to do a whole thing with any members that were participating in the film, with exception to one person who was a minor. And the studio said, no, we don't want him handling any types of firearms that are going to be shooting blanks or replica shooting blanks or any type of real firearm that might be on the set because he's a minor and that might affect the insurance, and we'll just do it digitally or something along that line. I believe the director verified that, as well, that piece of information. So, that's kind of an interesting aspect to take a look at there. Moving forward from that, there's a lot more information out there. I highly suggest you guys check it out. Law and Crime Network and their podcasts and their channels. You can watch it over and over. There's all sorts of information in there. Might be some things that I overlooked even, as far as that goes. It hasn't been as comprehensive, during this live on account of the notes and whatnot. But there's another armorer a guy who had actually done a lot of licensed professional security, private security, stuff like that, firearms. He got into, I guess his company does a lot of this stuff. He was the expert on it. He was going over quite a few things, and everything that this guy said is factual. And a lot of safety measures and stuff to take into consideration and should be done for filming, anytime there's firearms. I mean, you look at the military, anytime you go to the range or whatnot, you're at the armor, rifles are accounted for, everything along that line. I mean, it's a chain of custody and keeping everything where they need to be at and out of the hands of any issues taking place there. Law enforcement, I'm sure there's all sorts of that type of stuff. And even, private citizens in their home, lock your firearms up, know where they're at, etc. and so forth. So this guy, with the system he was speaking of, I think, pretty professional. The dude, I think he's been doing it for like 20 plus years or something along that line. Very interesting to watch. A lot of facts, a lot of great ideas and things. So that was another interesting aspect of it. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the summary in a nutshell. A lot of this info is either impartial or what that took place because I'm doing a live right now, and I'm just going off of my memory from observation and a lot of it's opinion. Um, do I think accountability should go to Hannah Gutierrez Reed? Well, that is her job and position. Now, as far as accountability goes, how many people should be accountable? Well, in this big cluster mess, um, anybody that touched the firearm or the ammunition or the blank rounds or the dummy rounds or whatnot, um, accountability falls on you anytime. I mean, it's just like a firearm. If I were to take my child out shooting, I'm responsible. I'm liable. You know, I'm the one that's going to be accountable if something happened. If I take a buddy out shooting, hand them a firearm, you know, I'm accountable. But it's just, boy, just craziness, just pure craziness. But it definitely brings up some doubt in my mind about quite a bit of stuff. But the one thing that I did take out of what I've observed so far, though, is the guy who's a professional when it comes to firearms in Hollywood. He said there's two types of things that can happen with firearms. There is a ND and there's an AD. AD is an accidental discharge, which 99% of the time never happens, and that's when a firearm malfunctions on its own and goes off and discharges around. And then there's, you guys all know my favorite, negligent discharge, which is operator error, which is major cause of most problems with firearms. And that right there to me, he's speaking the Bible right there. That's the gospel. It's the truth. That's kind of why, and for all y'alls that do watch my channel or my old channel, the reason I stress so hard with negligent discharges is because when they do happen, people do get hurt and people do get killed. And as much as I love firearms and, I love the right to have them and whatnot, it is a responsibility. This whole court case is a prime example of, you know, irresponsible, just totally irresponsible action on all these parts. It's a sad situation that created some sad circumstances, and that's why I'll continue to constantly. I post up the parodies about negligent discharges. Well, the thing is people see that. Yeah, we laugh at some of the stuff as long as nobody gets hurt. But the all serious matter and serious aspect of it, people see this and it's like, man, yeah, you know what? I can't believe I do that. Or, man, I do dumb things like that with a firearm. I gotta stop, man. It's the mentality behind it. I teach my kids at a very young age to firearm safety. Now, do I think, oh, I could leave a firearm laying around the house? My kids wouldn't touch it. Bullshit. As much as I would love to think that's the case, kids are curious, or kids have friends who are curious. So, as far as being responsible in your own home, I can't tell people what to and what not to do, but what I do, mine are all locked up, and they're away from reach of children or anybody for that matter, unless I'm home or my wife. We're the only two people that have access to them. But I don't know. It's just stressing that so much. It's like things like when you're at the range. There's actually a clip I put out because I see it all the time. And obviously you guys know I shoot quite a bit, and I've watched people. They'll be firing. They'll hit their mag release or whatever and drop their magazine. Natural instinct for a human or a person in that matter is to reach and grab something that falls. We all do it. It's a habit. It's just something that we do. I put that clip out because people honestly do that all the time, and I've seen people shoot negligent discharge because they're dropping down and shuffling, trying to pick something up and not stopping to think about what's in their other hand, and usually their trigger finger is going to be inside the guard at that point when you're out shooting on the range or wherever you're discharging your firearm. It's just small things like that we overlook, we don't think about. That's why I like to stress that so much on my channel. By all means, I'm not like the ultimate expert dude, whatever you want to say, for firearms either, but I would say it's called common sense, but people don't have common sense anymore. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't see half the crazy shit we see on YouTube. That's for sure regarding firearms. Um, but I'll continue to push that. We'll have the parodies, but I'll also put the serious stuff out. And I hope people like at least reflect on it somewhat, or realize or become aware, and think I should train more, or I should really work on that, practice and fix that. I mean, because the Second Amendment's awesome. It's how you use it and how you view it, uh, and what you choose to do with it. I guess that matters, but you're responsible, and not as long as you don't infringe on other people's rights. So that's my piece on that. Now to the funny part of the show today. So you guys all know I created the Biden Ballistic Award, or I just put Biden Awards, because our commander in chief he said some pretty dumb shit. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we all know a 22 sticks in the lung, a 9mm blows the lung out the body. So Biden Ballistics here, he just knows so much. Um, I thought, God, is it even possible for somebody to be that dumb? I mean, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. And then I thought about it. All these politicians have no idea what they're talking about. A lot of them that are pushing gun control acts or trying to ban firearms and all that stuff. And so I'm going through, looking through different political things or rallies or whatnot, because it's entertaining as hell to me to hear the things people say. Most of the people that are against firearms know nothing about them. And that's the even more so funny part. I mean, everybody thinks that AR-15 means assault rifle, or we joke and say it's America's rifle, but in all honesty, Armalite's AR, it's a brand that invented it, the platform. Some of the politicians on these Biden awards I'm coming across are hilarious, and even so, I believe there's a clip, one of them I put out there, at Tucker Carlson, who I don't care for him. I don't like him at all. This guy had some lady lobbying for a gun control and a ban on shrouds. Okay, for all y'all that don't know, a barrel shroud is just something a lot of people put over their barrel, either to protect it, or if it gets hot, it helps cool it off if they're shooting a lot. Most of the time, it applies to shotguns for the most part. ATI, or I don't think Magpul makes them, but it's just a clip-on right over your barrel thing, no biggie. Sometimes people get them because they want to put a rail on their shotgun, and it'll have a rail accessory for them to do their tactical crap or whatever. But anyways, barrel shroud. And so Tucker Carlson asks this lady, do you know exactly what a barrel shroud is? And the lady said, no, I'm not familiar with that at all. I don't know. He's like, oh, interesting, because it's in your legislation. So it's like, you want to ban something, you don't know what it is or anything about it. Either that, or she's hella good at playing stupid and looking stupid. That's one of my favorites. One of the other funny ones that I put up that's freaking hilarious is there's a watermelon, there's a shotgun. This dude's holding a shotgun or whatever, shoots this watermelon. Of course it blows it into a bunch of pieces or whatnot. Shotguns are badass. And the lady goes, look at what this AR-15 does to that watermelon. My gosh, that's the funniest shit ever. I laughed so hard at that one. I mean, it's just, the next Biden Award one that I get a huge kick out of, freaking hilarious, is the lady saying, these bullets are equipped. Oh, what was it exactly? How she put it? Fucking politicians. Oh, that's right. These bullets they're equipped. They have heat-seeking capability because of what's built with them, or something along that line. Heat-seeking bullets. Shit. And I'm just finding out about these now. You know how awesome that would be? I mean, that's some crazy like super sci-fi junk or something. A bullet that's like heat-seeking. I mean, all of us gun owners, man, if we would have known about those bullets, we would have bought them a long time ago. I would buy them for hunting because I'm a shitty shot with a rifle. So, that would be that would definitely help me out. I'll take it. But it's just things like this constantly over and over and over. I don't know. Check them out, guys. The Biden Awards. I get such a kick out of it. I got a dark humor, but let's see, what's the other one? Double barrel magazine with extended clip. And all y'all's know, clip. They're the only clips that are around firearms. Either you're gonna have your clip strips or strip clips for your SKS or some of your older firearms or whatnot. That's how they are with internal magazines. Or a clip could be a pin or something holding something on. But as far as putting the rounds in, it's a magazine by definition. If you're going to try to ban things and do stuff, you should at least actually know the terms too. I mean, it's the education portion, you know, and the hypocrisies behind it. They want people to be educated so, they're not so ignorant. It could be something along the lines of somebody like a hate group, or they're all ignorant. But when you get educated and you know more about things and you have a better understanding of things, it definitely, I think it helps some people, and I think it's great. It's like this court case we're talking about. I automatically, right off the top of my head, I hate Alec Baldwin for starters. I feel bad, but I hate Alec Baldwin for starters. The Armorer, I thought, man, those two are so screwed. And you start to hear information, factual or not, with a courtroom. Who knows? All the attorney's trying to do is raise doubt. They're in the defense. They did a good job with me. But the circumstance is, the more education you have, less ignorant. It's like with different cultures or why people do things differently. I believe if you're educated on the matter, it can definitely change things of how you view it. So, I mean, with these people, the gun grabbers and all that crap, with their intelligence level of something that they hate so bad and they're lobbying so hard to get rid of, you would think they would actually have all the information correct, ducks lined up, etc. But no, it's a joke. It's total crap show. So, Biden Awards, fun as hell to do that. Single Shot Sunday tomorrow on that show. I've got some other cool stuff going on for might be interesting to some. And anyways, guys, I just wanted to tell you guys all thanks for watching this morning. I know it's kind of improv, but we'll get more info out on the Baldwin, Gutierrez, Reed cases and all that stuff. And if you guys have any stuff too or ideas, submit some or try to get a hold of me. Topics you guys like to have on my show. We're still rebuilding it up. I mean, we're only at 122. I was almost at 2,000 prior. My other channel, unfortunately, YouTube was very, I don't know, didn't care too much for what I had going on or whatever. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Until next time and tomorrow, take care.